that the government actually has a duty to take steps to protect the citizens of this country.
You can't just sort of pick and choose which part of the government you're concerned about.
Encouragement would sweep in an awful lot.
What do you do with the fact that the platforms say no all the time to the government?
Here to react, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, who helped file the initial suit as Attorney General, was there for all the arguments. Governor, your thoughts about your chances of having this go through?
You know, I sat in the court yesterday with Congressman Jim Jordan and Congressman Dan Bishop, and we left there almost needing one of the cry rooms y'all talked about earlier today. I mean, the fact that some of these justices, I just felt like they were going through an academic exercise rather than understanding the real life implication for tens of thousands of American citizens who are being censored on the internet and on these platforms. I mean, the things that this case uncovered, you know, a couple of years ago when we filed this case, then U.S. Senate, then Attorney General Eric Schmidt and I, people laughed at us and they thought that we were going to be laughed out of the courtroom. And yet here we are at the Supreme Court. Yeah. And the things that we've uncovered, I mean, this was a case under which we found where the FBI knew they had the Hunter Biden laptop, but yet let the social media platforms censor the New York Post story. Remember that? They censored many Americans who thought that the COVID-19 virus came out of a lab leak, and they censored that. And yet we find out today that that is most likely the case. They censored all kinds. They censored
ivermectin. Yeah, you have all these people that were posting things on down. Then they end up getting shadow banned or censored from Tomi Lahren. We know that. So their argument is this. The government's like, hey, I'm here to protect you. If someone starts posting things that Hitler's great and we need a new Hitler, Hitler-like leader to take us to the next level as a country, do you think the government should call up and say, hey, Facebook, take that down?
Well, what the justices seem to not grip is that the federal government, all the agencies and the White House, they have an X account. They have a Facebook account. They've got public service advisories that they could go out and they can talk to the American people. In fact, they could also talk to the social platforms and say, look, why don't you amplify this message? Because we believe that there's content on your platforms that Americans are getting wrong. But yet the justices seems to not grip the fact that the government doesn't have the ability to balance that message. And they forget that many Americans distrust the government because of exactly that.
So, Governor, here's an example. The president over the weekend said if when it comes to these car companies, if you let China have free access to our markets, it's going to be a bloodbath. And some people are misinterpreting that and think the president's calling for violence in the streets. They might post that on Facebook. They might post that on Instagram. And then will this government, who happens to be running against Donald Trump, who said it, will they decide we got to take that down? It's not safe for America to read that.
Brian, you're exactly right. That's the problem here. The platform should be content neutral. And the justices seem to not be able to grip the difference between publishers, newspapers, and the media and social platforms, which basically operate like virtual public squares. And they seem to want to allow the government to suppress citizens' rights to express their concerns about things that the government is saying or doing. Right. And if the government disagrees, they just take them out the public square.
And let's just add this in. The media research company came up and did a study, and they found that Google has interfered with elections 41 times over the last 16 years. Amplifying certain searches and decreasing, helping Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and hurting Republicans. And that's what the media research found out. And this is some of the problem. People are putting their hands on the scales, and you guys are just trying to get everybody's hands off. Final thought?
That is correct. I mean, look, we hope that the justices think long and hard about this and recognize that these types of cases actually determine whether or not the government was telling the truth or not, and whether or not they should censor American citizens.
It's a great debate.
We hope they get it right.
And it's an important one. Governor Jeff Landry, thanks so much.